a pleasure to be with you once again, students. I am your teacher for today, and we are going to take business study as a class today. And so today we are going to take business studies. In the course of our studies today, we are going to define what an office is. We are going to talk about types of office, and we are going to talk about the functions of an office. And if time permits, we are going to talk about the clerical officer and its function. And thereafter, we are going to talk about the different departments in an office that interacts together. So let me list what we have on the board today. One, we are going to talk about what is an office. Then number two, then we'll talk the number three, the functions. Functions of an office. Now let us take these three first before we dive into other areas. Now let's talk about what an office is. An office is generally a place where written work in connection with business is done. Where written work or things in connection with business is done. And an office, it's a place where transaction that affects the business you are into is carried out. We have different places or different departments in the office that helps the office to function well. Having talked about what an office is now, we are going to talk about the types. We're going to talk about the types of office. We have the small office and we have the large office. And we can equally have the open office and the demarcated office. Now let me talk about the types of office. We have the large office that can be in an open area. Let's take, for example, you go to the staff room in your school. There are some staff rooms that have a very large room where different teachers sit in different areas. But all of them are in an open office. You come inside the office, you see all of them, or you have a view of all the teachers sitting there. That's an open office. Or then, if you have gone into a bank, if you enter the open floor of a banking hall, you see that the staffs are in an open area. Once you enter the office or once you enter the bank, you can see many staffs that are there in the office. That is a large office that is open. Then we talk about the small office. Now the small office can be just a small office, a small room. It can be one room that is being occupied by either one person or more than one person. And most times the small office is owned by a single entrepreneur. We can call that person a one-man business. And it can equally take two or more persons, but it's a small room. Not like that large office or that open office. There is difference. Then, in an office too, we have the bigger office or the open office that have partition. It has openings or it has offices for each worker. I am going to talk about both the advantages that are associated with the first type and the advantages that are associated with the second type. And I will tell you the disadvantages too that are associated with each one of these. Now, let me talk about the open office. I will talk about the advantage of an open office. So let me take first of all a large office. A large office a large office that is open. Now, what are the advantages of a large office that is open? Number one advantage is that once you walk into the office, you have a view of all those in the office. And so it requires less supervision. Just entering there can help you to supervise every worker that is in the open office. Then, secondly, another advantage that the large office that is open has, its communication flows from one person to another. It doesn't require you to go spread a memo around the office. No, you don't need that. All you just require is just come in, pass information, and every worker or every staff in the open office gets what you want to do. That is another advantage of it. Then, it equally have another advantage. It helps for easy flow of work in the office. The accountant can pass to the manager, the administrator can pass to whoever he wants to pass information to. The production department can pass information to the marketing department. Just like that. So the flow of information in the office it flows in a more faster means. But then let me talk about the disadvantage associated with this large office. It has its own disadvantage. Number one, there is no privacy. You just walk into the office, you don't have privacy, you can't do things you want to do in private, all your information are just lying there to anybody who walks in. That is one disadvantage it has. And so that's why most persons prefer the small partition office that house the individual in its different department. Then another disadvantage is in cases of outbreak of a disease or an epidemic. What I mean by epidemics is that maybe there is a widespread disease that just come up. It can just affect everybody, like a flu. If somebody have catarrh, the other person can easily get it because it's an open office. The person can just sneeze, the person can just cough. In the case of other kind of disease that are airborne, it easily circulates, like let's say measles or yellow fever, that are airborne kind of disease. It can easily circulate in an open office. So that's another disadvantage that comes with an open office. So having said that, we've seen that there are advantages and disadvantages that goes with the kind of large office that is an open space or that is being occupied by many staffs in an open space. It has its own advantage and it has its own disadvantage. So it is left for the organization to decide the kind of organization they run and the kind of offices or the kind of office they want to put in place in the organization. Now we'll talk about the small office. The small office, I told you, is house. It's a small room. It's a small area that the entrepreneur or the one-man owner of the business, it can even be more than one person occupied, but it's very small. And so when it's very small like that, one thing is it lacks ventilation. And the flow of work is not always very easy. So depending on the size of the organization, that determines the size of office you have to put in place. And so in an organization, you want to know the type of business you are going to deal with. You're going to know how many persons is going to be your staff and which type of office you want to incorporate into your business. That is for the types of office. Now, having talked about the types of office, I want to talk about the functions of an office. Every office has its own function. What are the functions that an office has? I want to list about 5 or 6 functions. We'll have a number of functions. The first one is the office is meant to receive information. Information comes from outside the office, from the general public, from the government, from individuals, and they are taken to the office. And so the office receive information from the outside world apart from the organization. That is for receiving of information. Then we have another function, recording of information. The office have the duty of keeping information, recording information. Such recorded information can be meetings that are held in other organizations, or meetings that are held within the organization, or information that are gathered from the outside world. And so the organization have the duty to record this information and keep such information for the organizational use. Then we have another one, arranging and processing information. There are some information that are sent to the office and they are required to give feedback. They are required to respond. They are required to take action. And so the office have that function of arranging and processing this information to give to the appropriate authority that needs such information that the office has to give out. So that has to do with arranging of information. Then we have another one that has to do with supplying information. Each of the departments in the organization has their own duties and function. And so, if a particular department has an information that another department needs, they have to supply such information. And equally, the organization sometimes searches for outside information to be supplied to them. There are information that requires taxation. There are information that requires the banks. These information are needed to be supplied. And so the organization take care of supplies of such information, whether coming in or going out. They supply such information. And then we have the fifth one, safeguarding assets. What is an asset? Asset is just the properties that are owned by the organization. Example of assets are landed properties like the land, and we have the vehicles, we have other things that are owned, properties that the organization owned. These are assets, and they need to be safeguarded. They need to be well taken care of. If an organization purchases a piece of land and this land is not well safeguarded, other persons, other individuals can take it away from them. So they need a kind of law backup to this asset. So the organization have to take full procedure, or they have to take adequate measure to make sure that their assets are well taken care of. If it's a vehicle, they have to make sure that the papers involved, all that is required of them to own that vehicle, it's well processed. That is for assets. So they make sure everything is put in place in order for them to have that sole ownership of that asset. Then the sixth one has to do with attending to customers. If you have ever gone to an office, you meet somebody that is called a customer care service agent. This person is the person you meet to give you an overall information about the business, about the organization. Whatever information you want, you meet them first, then they will direct you to the appropriate individual. And so they attend to customers in such a way that it will appeal to the person or the customer that has come to them. So the organization or one of the functions of an office has to do with attending to customers. Remember in our previous class, I told you that the customers are the kids while we are in business, why we do business. If they are not there, we are not here. If they don't come to do business, business can never exist. And so when customers come for information or come for a direction, the organization has the sole right and have that kind of a kind of appealing way of appealing to the customer so that the customer have a cause to come back, keep coming back again and again. So that is another function. And so last but not the least on these functions of an office is the organization or the office have the function of arranging for transportation of goods and personnel. If an organization produce or an office carry out production process and it is not shipped out or transported out to where it will be consumed, that means the materials will just go bad, get spoiled, and at the end of the day you will not maximize profit. In our last class I told you that a business cannot function without profit, because you are there to serve the people and make profit. But a situation whereby transport facilities are not there for people to carry out business, to move the goods from one place to another, to sell to customers or final consumers, that means nothing has happened. So that's another function of the office. And personnel, individuals. Some organizations have vehicles that convey their staffs from office and back to their homes, or they are going for a seminar or whatever thing that concerns the organization and staffs are required to be there. They need to make sure that there is adequate arrangement for staffs to get them. So these are the functions of an office. I want us to talk about a little about the clerical officer. And that clerical officer extensively has to do with this customer care agent, this person here. Is going to dwell on this attending to customers, who we call the clerical officer. So let me clean off here and add the clerical officer. So let me list it as number 4 of our subtopic. I hope this is clear enough. Qualities of a clerical officer. Like I told you on that number 6 or so of the functions of an office, I talked about the customer care officer, or somebody who attends to the customers. I will want to relate this to the qualities of the clerical officer. This individual is a person that gives out information. He carries out the daily activities that concerns the organization as regards giving information. I will want to tag this, if not a clerical officer, as a customer representative or a customer care agent. You can replace it with this clerical, because that is what we understand better in an office. The clerical office should be one who is academically qualified. What I mean by academically qualified is he has a standard of education that will help him or help her to be able to attend to customers. A customer care representative should have a measure or a standard of education that will help him or her gives out the adequate information needed. So number 1, the individual must be qualified. That is one of the qualities that this clerical officer has to possess. And another thing, the person has to have good disposition. It shouldn't be somebody you will meet and the person will tighten up his face, no smile, no. A clerical officer should be one that will just walk up to you and with a smiling welcome, he say, "Welcome, customer. How may I help you?" If you have called any of these telecommunication organization, and you hear the customer care representative representing them, you will hear such words as welcome, thank you for choosing us. And they will ask, and what is your complaint? A customer care representative or a clerical officer in an organization should be one who has a good disposition, with a smiling face, with a welcoming note, and one who can communicate effectively with customers. Now, let me go back. Another function, I will pick out that communication and place it in another function. That it should be one who can communicate effectively. A customer care representative should be one who understands the language of the people there. If it's an Igbo land, if it's a Yoruba land, or whichever land he stands to represent, he should be one who can speak the language of the people, and the commonly accepted language, English. It should have a good command of the English language, and it should be one who understands the language of the people, so that if he meets customers that know how to speak English, he can communicate effectively. And if he doesn't, and he meets somebody who comes from the general view of, from the community or places around the community, he can communicate effectively. Then, a good customer representative or a good clerical officer should have good personal appearance. It shouldn't be one that will be shabbily dressed, and when you look at the person, it's not one that qualifies for that office. No, if you are a customer care representative or you are a clerical officer in an office, dress well to represent your organization. Dress well to represent who you stand for. Your personality is involved. So always dress well as a clerical officer or a customer care agent. And a customer care agent, another thing the customer care agent has to do is that he has to love his work. He or she has to be in love, fall in love with the work you do. Be one who can keep records. Be one who can file documents. Be one who is willing to put in your best to achieve the organizational goal and objective. Remember, every organization have their own set goals, have their own set objectives. Make sure that you are one who is there to help achieve the organizational goals and objectives. And it should be one who has good health. Because if the clerical officer or the customer care representative is not in good health, that means he cannot function well in that area. And so he should be one who takes good care of his health. Make sure you have good routine, good eating habits, good exercise routine. Everything that has to do with your total individual should be well taken care of so that you can function effectively. And lastly, I want to talk about in this is he should be one who is ready to develop himself. Self-development is the best investment you can give to yourself. That's the best. And it will give you high rate of return on investment. So invest on yourself. It can be educational wise. You can go get good qualification, get good educational grades. You can equally read books, watch videos, go get premium courses online. Make sure you are well groomed as a person representing your company, because you are like a mirror. You are mirroring your company. The way you address people make them know that your organization, it's well funded, your foundation is strong. And so the way you approach people matters. So always learn to invest in yourself as a clerical officer or as a customer care representative agent in your organization. Having talked about that, we are going to round up this class with departments in a business organization. Remember, we have talked about the functions, the types, and what an office is. So what are the departments that are found in an organization that can be placed in that office? It can either be a closed one, an opened one, a demarcated office, or what have you. There are a number of them. I want to go through it before I start explaining it one after the other. We have the sales department, we have the administration department, we have the accounting department, we have the personnel department, we have the purchase department. Now let me take them bit by bit. I want to talk about, let's go first with the sales. You know, that's where the money comes from. without the sales department, the organization will not function better or function well. And so the sales department takes care of the production. They go sell. That is where you have the marketing agents. That is where you have those who are marketers. Those who go out to the fields to sell to others. Those who sell the goods and services being produced by the organization. So this department, it's required in an organization. No organization functions better without a sales department. So they take care of the sales of the organization. So whatever you produce, they sell out. They will have the administration. They take care of the day-to-day administration of the office. Remember that we have talked in our previous class about the administrative unit of an organization when I last taught you what business study is, introductory part of business study. And so this administration takes care of the administrative running, the day-to-day running, how the staffs are well taken care of, and the rest of them in an organization. Then we talk about the purchase. They get the raw materials that are required to produce for sales. They go out, purchase, make production. So here is where the production department comes in. The purchase comes in. After the purchase, we have the production. Then after the production, we have the sales. So purchase is important because here they buy the raw materials. Those who produce will produce. The finished product will be sell out. Then we have personnel. That's the staffs. Those who takes care of the day-to-day running of the organization. In the personnel, that's where you have staff that works in every of these departments. The personnel, you have the accountant, you have the marketing officer, you have the administrative personnel, and you have the purchase manager. Here, they take care of each one of these individual personnel. And then you have the accounts. They take care of what is being sold at, how much is purchased, what is the profit and what is the loss. You don't do business without profit. And so they take care of the recording, the day-to-day running of the business, how it's being run, what they have made. Are they making profit? Are they making losses? They give information to the banks, to tax offices, and they give a general financial view of what the company is owing to or what they have. They record the financial, the financial transaction that is associated with the business. So these are the departments that interact in the office. Like I said, it can be in an open office, can be in a closed office, can be in a demarcated office. Whichever office an organization runs, these departments exist. So these are departments in a business organization. So anytime you go into an organization, remember that these are departments that are found therein. And so this is where we are ending our class for today. Until next time. But before I go, I would like to give you an assignment. Please, you will define what an office is for me. Do that as your personal assignment. After defining what an office is, list at least 2 types of office that we have. Then give me 5 functions of an office. I listed more than 5, but I want you to go review it, and give me 5 functions of an office. Then we have the qualities of a clerical officer. I gave you a number of qualities that a clerical officer needs to have. Please mention 3 for me in our next class. You can write them below the comment box or give me a feedback in the email provided on this website. So, and then try to master this chart and know the departments that interact with the business. Until then, I will see you. Be good student, read your books, and have a nice day.